El Paso is a sister city to Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. On a daily basis, you have approximately between 125 and 150,000 people across in each direction. I'm the director of Annunciation House, an organization that for a little over 39 years has been doing the work of hospitality for refugees and immigrants who arrive at this border. El Paso is usually ranked by the FBI as either the most safest city in the United States or the second. To speak about that refugees are criminals is absent any credible statistical information.
Las Americas is a nonprofit organization that helps with immigration proceedings. We see a lot of, because of proximity to the Mexican border, is a lot of forced migration coming from Mexico, Central and South America for different reasons, for economic reasons, but also fleeing violence. People just see the United States as kind of a protective country, right, where rights are respected, which ironically now we're seeing that a lot of this is kind of taking a really sour turn.
We're very proud of this one.
The Department of Homeland Security came out with a memo where it begins to explain how they're going to go about to begin to implement these executive orders. What expedited removal does is it gives authorization to the individual officer on the line to make a judgment about the credibility of the claim, and if in the opinion or in the judgment of the officer they do not perceive the claim to be legitimate, they are authorized to expeditedly remove the individual. When the officer expeditedly removes someone, it's not like the refugee has the right to appeal that decision to somebody. It's not reviewable. So all of a sudden, officers are going to be given massive authority to make decisions about the lives of people, and those decisions are not going to be reviewable.
People will work for years, literally, right? If an individual that's working in a maquiladora in Juarez is trying to make a living and at the same time trying to put money aside to come over to the border, which is just a few minutes away, is going to have to work months, if not years, to even just get a portion of that. They pay a Coyote to bring them over, right, to smuggle them over. It ranges anywhere from like $3,000 to $7,000. It's really common to hear stories of women that take birth control before they make it out here because they're really expecting that the rates of being sexually abused are going to be pretty high, and they'd rather use contraceptives other than have a pregnancy that comes from a rape from a coyote, right, or a gang member.
The vast majority of detention facilities are operated by private companies, like the Corrections Corporation of Americas is just one example. The G Group is another example. So ICE contracts with these private prison companies to open up and operate detention facilities. So it's a boon. ICE already has 34,000 detention beds. The last week, they were able to add an additional 10,000 beds. ICE is the only law enforcement entity that is mandated by Congress to keep a high percentage of those beds filled. When you mandate me that way, then you basically say to your police officers, I want you to go out there and find reasons to arrest people. And so, yes, individuals do have reason to worry if they are pulled over by a police officer.
Then there's also fears of, I don't want to even go to the store. I don't want to leave my house. I had a woman in the office yesterday that we're getting ready to do citizenship. She qualifies for citizenship, which means she's got legal status. She's had legal status for a while. She hasn't committed any crimes, but she doesn't even feel safe in her own home. So I think that that's the type of terror we should also be focusing on, right? What about the terror that's being created currently right now within our communities by our politicians, by our active law enforcement agencies? People should not have to feel scared or afraid in their own home that somebody's going to come and deport them, even if they're here legally or not. We're all humans.
Militarization of the border has been happening for years, and it's been happening as you have doubled the size of the Border Patrol force. It is the single largest, next to the United States military, it is the single largest budget item of law enforcement in the United States.
So we have the river, and then we have a canal, and then we have a fence, and then we have the border fence. And then between those fences, we have Border Patrol agents, and we have cameras, and we have drones, and we have a lot of new technology that has been pumped into the border.
The border has, in fact, been militarized. We are now simply seeing that ramped up to even new heights. All of it based on the philosophy that the immigrants arriving at our southern border constitute a danger, when in fact that's simply not true.